today's preview of Houston Rockets. Houston has had a big summer, like everybody knows. They brought in Dwight Howard via free agency from the Los Angeles Lakers. I think this is going to be a huge move for them that brings them to the lead of the Western Conference. My problems was, can Howard and James Harden coexist as a 1-2 punch? For what I've seen in the preseason, I think it'll work. I think it'll work. I think both of their styles complement, and I think it's good. Even though I am a Lakers fan, but I think it's good for Howard actually for him and his career at this point to actually go to Houston. I think he had his problems with the Lakers. I think with the whole, I think playing with Kobe, but mainly it was just the offensive style. It just didn't work, and that's why the thing was Howard would have stayed, but I think it was just more. It was more of an eternal thing inside Lakers management, ownership, um, coaching, and a little bit of the player personnel. I think it was just too many things, and then Howard just had to make his decision of going to play with Houston Rockets. Can Kevin McHale's up-tempo, guard-heavy offense complement Dwight Howard? That's the question. Dwight Howard has said that he doesn't really like that kind of offense. That's the reason, that's the reason of his negatives that he had with Houston. But I think Kevin McHale and Olajuwon and Yao Ming and these guys, let it be known of what kind of system they're going to have in place, which will complement Howard. Um, because Kevin McHale, as we know, always have a guard-heavy offense, even his days of Minnesota, which a lot of guards has gotten a lot of money, and have been somewhat of a not star player, and his offense is more of a facade. But will that help Dwight Howard? I think it can. I think he'll be able to get around of it. Okay, Jeremy Lin and Patrick Beverly point guard controversy. I think this is one of the hardest decisions. What do you do as a coach? I mean, you have Jeremy Lin. He's a good distributor. He can run a team to a certain extent, but I think at times when he has to play off the ball when James Harden has the ball, I think he sits around there and he stares and just stares at what James Harden is doing. I mean, mind you, they didn't have a training camp last year, so it was more of they throw James Harden in, see what James Harden do, and Jeremy Lin, he just literally watched unless a play was called and he had the ball in his hands. Patrick Beverly, this guy, he just came out of nowhere. He just came out of nowhere. He just presented an opportunity. He comes in. He plays well. Great defense. He can run a team. I mean, his perimeter shooting needs to be worked on. He's not as good shooter as Jeremy Lin, but Jeremy Lin is not as consistent either as a shooter. Um, but this Mikhail really has point guard controversies. Who you going to start? Um, Jeremy Lin has been a guy that they say that they're gonna deal for him because they feel that they need to probably bring in that another third player, not a superstar, but that other third player that may can get them over the hump. Omer Sheik. Now, when Dwight Howard signed with the Houston Rockets, Omer Sheik was the first people to just voice his frustrations and his disinterest of them bringing in Howard. Not to say he don't like Dwight Howard, is to say that he's a center. He came of his own. He was one of the lead rebounders, and he's thinking that he's going to be the anchor of the Houston Rockets. But he said he don't mind them. He didn't mind them that they brought in Dwight Howard because you just can't let that talent go. But I want to see how can Kevin McHale get Howard and O'Shea to coexist in the paint because these are both centers. Neither one of them could play power forward at this stage of the career. Ashik is 7'3". Dwight Howard is 6'11", but Dwight Howard's been playing center his whole entire career. He's not a power forward. And for them to both be in the game at the same time, I mean, it has its plus, but it also has its negatives because this is the modern NBA. And in the modern NBA, you play two centers. is going to be at different disadvantage. Plus, with all these guys that can play the stretch four, I don't know how that would be able to work. But I think Sheik is a guy who's too talented to be on the bench. And even though Rockets said they won't move him, but people is speculating that a Lin and a Sheik swap will happen sometime this season if these two players are ineffective. Chandler Parsons and Fabricio Garcia. These two guys have to be consistent on the perimeter for this team to be effective. People always talk about the Harden, and you need Parsons is that third guy offensively. He's came of his own. He played real great last year, and also Garcia. He has to be consistent coming off the bench, be able to score, give these guys because the bench is very very thin, and they really need perimeter scoring to be able to be in a lot of these games against the elite teams in the Western Conference. I say they're going to win around 52 games and 30 losses. 52 and 30 is a real good mark for this team for their first year, getting a full training camp with Harden and Dwight Howard to get Kevin McHale to implement his system. 52 and 30 is a real respectable and real good record for this team.